I'm Daniel, 29, and 4 years ago my mother pointed at me over my brother's open grave and told the police I murdered him. That was the moment my life snapped in half. 1 second, I was his best man. The next I was in handcuffs with his blood still drying on my shirt because a rotten scaffold collapsed under him and they needed a convenient criminal. Prison didn't break me. It recalibrated me. Every humiliating dawn count. Every night listening to real killers snore. Every moment replaying the scene where my mother spat at me in front of the funeral crowd. It all stripped away the illusions. My stepfather's fake grief. The way they emptied the accounts before I'd even seen a judge. My fiancée whispering she'd seen the messages and walking out like she couldn't dump me fast enough. 4 years lost. 4 years studying statutes by flashlight because rage alone wasn't enough. 4 years unraveling every lie they built. And by the time I stepped out of that gate with a box of law books and a stack of handwritten notes, I'd already mapped the road back. Not to reconciliation, to demolition. They thought they buried me with my brother. They forgot I was still breathing. My cousin Sophia picked me up outside the prison gates, engine idling like she was afraid the place might swallow me back if she lingered. She hugged me so tight my ribs creaked. She was the only one who wrote to me consistently. Everyone else cut me off. My mother even posted online that she was finally free from her violent son. I told Sophia everything on the drive, what I'd learned, what I'd pieced together, what the records she'd helped me pull actually meant when you read between the lines. The house I grew up in sold for half its market value to a shell company owned by my stepfather's partner. My brother had updated his will a week before he died, naming me sole heir. My mother destroyed it before it could be registered. The insurance policy? It didn't cover accidents caused by property negligence, only violent death. They didn't just blame me to escape liability, they blamed me because murder meant payout. Sophia almost swerved off the road when I explained the clause. They framed you, she muttered. For money. Not even for money. For comfort. Vacations. BMWs. Designer clothes bought with my brother's ghost. I spent my first 3 days out meeting with a young attorney named Alvarez Sharp. Hungry. No patience for theatrics. When I dropped the files on his desk, he looked at me like he was staring at a lottery ticket. You did this research yourself? He asked. For years, I said. I had free time. That was the start. The plan wasn't revenge. Not at first. It was structure. Discipline. A roadmap. Civil attack for the inheritance. Corporate attack for the fraudulent sale. Federal pressure for the insurance scam. Daniel, Alvarez said, tapping one document after another. This is going to tear them apart. Good, I thought. They deserved to feel what my brother felt on that scaffold, realizing too late the people who were supposed to protect you had loosened the nails themselves. Alvarez filed the first lawsuit on a Tuesday morning. By Wednesday afternoon, my stepfather was already blowing up my phone like a man who just noticed his boat taking water. His voice carried that mix of arrogance and panic only cowards manage. What the hell do you think you're doing? Starting, I said. The forced audit hit them harder than expected. Their accountant bailed the same day. Apparently, he wanted no part in cleaning up mysteries older than his career. Their lawyer tried to bluff with a restraining order, claiming I was harassing them, which was funny considering I'd barely left the house since release. The judge dismissed it so fast the clerk hadn't even finished stapling it. The dismissal rattled them. The negligence suit rattled them more. The moment their attorney argued that I was the responsible party for safety on the lake house site, my lawyer slid out the screenshot of the text I'd sent my mother 3 weeks before the accident. The scaffolding is rotten. Replace it. They had no answer. My mother claimed she never saw the message. The judge had that look adults get when a child swears they didn't eat the cookies while covered in crumbs. Then came their attempted counterattack, a newspaper interview with my mother. She sat there on camera, wringing her hands like a saint with memory loss. My son is unstable, she said. He's obsessed with blaming us. We're grieving. He needs help. I watched it twice. Not because it hurt. Because it told me she was running out of ideas. Sophia called me 10 minutes later. You're going to want to see something, she said. Turned out she checked the charity mentioned in the interview. 90% of donations went straight into administrative costs, which, not coincidentally, matched their exact travel expenses for the last 2 years. They weren't grieving. They were funding a lifestyle with my brother's death. The pressure was starting to squeeze them. and I could feel it. Part 3 was always supposed to be the turning point. This was the moment the ground under their feet finally shifted. Discovery cracked them open like old wood. The judge approved access to 5 years of their emails, messages, financial transfers, everything. My lawyer looked like a kid handed a crowbar and told the Piata was full of diamonds. Buried inside the data dump, we found the first real fracture. Emails between my mother and stepfather 2 months before the accident, debating how to manage my stubbornness about the inheritance and how my brother was too soft and generous with him, not murder plans, but proof of long-term intent. They hadn't just reacted to the accident, they'd been plotting my erasure long before it. Then panic drove my stepfather to commit his biggest mistake. He called Sophia, not to apologize, not to reason, to offer her money to abandon me. $50,000 wide tomorrow. She recorded the whole thing. "You're asking me to betray my cousin?" "No," he said. "I'm asking you to be practical. He's ruining a family that already suffered enough." A line so obscene I had to pause the audio twice. My lawyer played it 3 times, grinning wider each loop. "Witness bribery," he said. "They're amateurs. But the universe apparently hates amateurs, because the next day, Sophia sent me a voice note recorded in a supermarket parking lot. Pure accident. Pure gold. She'd seen them arguing inside their car, windows down. 7 uninterrupted minutes of panic. My mother's voice was shrill, cracking. "We should have gotten rid of the other one too when we had the chance. He's going to bury us." My stepfather hissed back. "Calm down. The accident was perfect. Nobody can prove gross negligence. And that damn will, we destroyed it." Forget it. I listened to those 7 minutes 3 times. Not because I needed to, but because the words that had once nearly broken me now gave me clarity. They had finally said out loud what I'd always known. And they said it on tape. That recording was the hammer. Now I needed the anvil. We packaged everything: emails, bank transfers, the destroyed will references, the negligence text, the voice recordings into a neat, explosive envelope. Then we didn't send it to the police. We sent it to the insurance company that had paid up my brother's violent death policy, a $2 million policy. Approved only because my mother testified it wasn't an accident. Because accidents caused by property negligence weren't covered. My lawyer called it a nuclear option. I called it Thursday. The fraud division received the package on a Friday. By Monday, they issued a formal notice. Due to credible evidence of fraud, all payouts are frozen pending federal investigation. That was the first domino. The second was their lawyer. He quit the moment he realized the case wasn't a messy family spat, it was a multi-million-dollar criminal fraud with jail time attached. Then came the family. Sophia leaked the bribery audio to every aunt, uncle, cousin, grandmother, and person who once shared DNA with us. My mother had spent for years playing the grieving martyr role perfectly. But no martyr survives being heard trying to buy off a witness. The next shockwave came from a place that genuinely caught me off guard. My ex-fiancé, her new boyfriend, it turned out, was my stepfather's business partner in 3 shell companies, including the one that bought my childhood home for half its value. With the federal investigation warming up, those companies were suddenly radioactive. She contacted my lawyer through hers. She was ready to testify. About overheard conversations, about suspicious meetings, about the accident talk she'd brushed off years ago, about the real reason she left me because my mother had handed her doctored messages and whispered poison into her ear. She wasn't doing it because she cared. She was doing it to save herself, fine by me. Truth is truth, no matter why it gets spoken. By the end of that week, there were 3 civil suits, 1 federal investigation, 1 upcoming deposition order, and a family tree that had turned its branches away from them. And for the first time since the handcuffs clicked at my brother's funeral, I felt the scales tip. Depositions were where everything finally snapped. Not quietly, not gracefully, but with the kind of self-destruction you couldn't script if you tried. My stepfather went first. He entered in a suit 2 sizes too big, probably sold the good one to pay lawyers still trying to look like the respectable contractor he pretended to be. My lawyer didn't give him time to breathe. "Did you personally inspect the scaffold that collapsed?" "I oversaw it." "Is that the same as inspecting it?" "Yes." My lawyer slid photos across the table. Rotted wood, rusted nails, boards warped like old bones. That's your inspection work.
He swallowed hard.
I don't recall those materials being used. You don't recall using materials bought by your own company on a site you supervised? Silence. Sweating. A twitch in his jaw. Then came the shell companies. Transfers. Fake invoices. Money trails so sloppy even a drunk accountant could follow them. You expect this court to believe your corporation bought the plaintiff's childhood home at half value coincidentally? It was a fair price. For whom? I don't recall. He was bleeding credibility by the second.
And then the bribe call. My lawyer played it through a speaker.
Every word echoing like a confession yelled into a cathedral. Just stop helping him. I'll wire you 50,000 tomorrow. My stepfather's face drained so fast he looked embalmed. His lawyer put a hand on his shoulder as if to say, please, for the love of God, stop breathing near microphones. But the real collapse came with my mother.
She walked in wearing a modest dress, hair pulled back, like she was auditioning for a charity commercial.
Her voice soft, fragile. I only want peace after everything I've suffered. My lawyer began gently. Did you receive this message about the rotten scaffold? I must have missed it. 3 weeks before your son died.
You overlooked a safety warning from your other son. He projected the text. Her eyes moved across the screen like she was reading her own funeral notice. Then the emails.
Her own words. Manage his stubbornness. He's too soft and generous with him. We can't let him control the estate. Her composure cracked.
The charity stunt she'd built around my brother, exposed. 90% of donations funneled back into personal spending. Then the final blow. They brought the audio from the supermarket parking lot. My mother froze when she heard her own voice played publicly. We should have eliminated the other one too when we had the chance, my stepfather exploded. You were the one who pushed the murder angle.
I only did that because you said the insurance wouldn't pay otherwise. You told me to destroy the will. You said you'd lose everything if someone sued over the scaffold.
2 adults, screaming, confessing, contradicting each other, dragging each other down like drowning criminals, pulling on each other's ankles. The mediator tried to calm them.
The stenographer just kept typing.
The cameras kept rolling. They condemned themselves.
No one else needed to lift a finger. By the end of the session, it wasn't just a case.
It was a crater, and they were standing at the bottom of it. I executed the final phase without sentiment.
Asset freezes expanded. Their accounts stalled.
Their credit collapsed. The insurance investigators escalated the file to federal prosecutors. The timeline tightened around them like a vice. My lawyer filed motions in rapid sequence. Each one stripped another layer from their defenses. Court-ordered audits exposed missing funds, false invoices, altered records.
Their charity dissolved under scrutiny.
90% marked as administrative costs, all traceable to personal purchases. The federal agents interviewed my ex-fiancée. Her statement linked their shell companies, the house sale, and the coordinated cover-up.
She delivered it without hesitation.
Preservation of her own freedom outweighed loyalty to them. Family support disintegrated.
Every relative shifted away once the recording circulated. No one defended them once they heard the remark about eliminating the other one too. The judge ordered immediate depositions for secondary witnesses. Their entire financial history became open territory.
Every transfer flagged. Every omission treated as a deliberate act. Their lawyers quit again.
They hired cheaper replacements. The replacements filed delays.
The judge rejected all of them. The insurance company filed suit formally, recovery of payouts, punitive damages, and referral for criminal prosecution.
Their exposure exceeded $2 million.
Combined with civil actions, the total liability placed them below zero with no route back. They tried indirect contact through intermediaries.
Offers of partial restitution.
Promises to explain, all rejected. The court auction scheduled the lake house. I purchased it cleanly. Market value discounted. A technicality in recovery statutes allowed it.
That ended their last remaining asset. Eviction followed.
30 days.
No negotiation.
The notice delivered in person.
Their reaction irrelevant. The structure of their entire plan collapsed on record. Fabricated testimony.
Destruction of evidence. Fraudulent transfers. Misappropriation of inheritance. Negligence concealed with deliberate accusation. The final hearing set the stage for sentencing.
They understood the outcome. They stopped speaking to each other.
They stopped contesting motions. They stopped pretending control. Their downfall reached terminal velocity. Their last motion was granted on a quiet Thursday morning. The judge reviewed every file, every transcript, every recording.
When he finished, he spoke with the calm finality of a man closing a book that had already ended long before the last page. Evidence of fraud is overwhelming. Assets will remain frozen.
Criminal proceedings will move forward. It was done. My mother and stepfather left the courthouse separately.
Two people who had once stood together over my brother's grave now moved like strangers sharing the same disaster. Within weeks, her charity dissolved, his business licenses revoked, their accounts legally emptied, their names flagged across every insurance and financial registry. Federal charges followed.
3 to 7 years each. Not vengeance, just gravity taking its course. I went to the lake house the day the verdict arrived.
It looked nothing like the place where everything had gone wrong.
Fresh paint.
Clean wood.
New scaffolding built the right way. The water was still. The air sharp, quiet. Sophie walked beside me, carrying 2 mugs of coffee. She was the only person who had stayed through the entire descent and rise, without flinching, bargaining, or turning her back. The house looks good, she said. You did most of it, I answered. She smiled gently.
I had forgotten people could smile without calculation. We sat on the porch.
I held a small piece of the original rotten scaffold, a reminder of everything that had been stolen from us, and everything I had taken back.
I tossed it into the fireplace, watched the last fragment of that old world burn down to nothing. My phone buzzed once.
A short message from an unknown number. Please, help me. I'm your mother. I blocked it without replying. No hate.
Just silence. The same silence I lived in for years, now returned to its rightful owners. Sophie rested her head lightly against my shoulder. I guess this is peace, she said. I looked out at the water, clear, quiet, unbroken. For the first time since my brother died, peace didn't feel like something fragile.
It felt earned.
Solid.
Mine.